I'm a creature with no skeleton inside your hands. Got no home address, I come and go as you command. And it's fine with me.
It's hard, bro.
And it's fine. I'm a bandit that you use to keep from bleeding out. I'm the lover you don't love but love to keep around. And it's fine with me. Promise that it's fine. Maybe I'm a fool. It's not like I'm expecting something new.
A good evening and a good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. We are in the studio with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Steven Chad Holly. His shirt is
baby,
disgusting,
what's up, man?
but his hair is fresh. And then, of course, none other than Mr. I Can Bench 345 Soderquist is in the building. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, hope you guys had a happy Easter. How are you doing? Steven Chad, what's up, big dog? Talk to me.
Oh, baby, just feeling good, man. Feeling good. It's an exciting week. We got some football.
It is.
We actually got some realistic football. It's not just practice updates. It's not just one-on-one drills. We're going to actually see what it looks like to play a football game for the first time since the Super Bowl, and really for all of us, college football, which is all that matters, and that national championship. So it's been a little bit. Looking forward to it.
That is true. I mean, I think you get caught up in the hypeness of the spring game. I'm more focused on kind of just the logistics right now, getting there, being prepared for Thursday. But I forget we're less than 24 hours away, ladies and gentlemen, for football. We're pretty much all weekend and then going into the next weekend. So that should just get you razzle-dazzled, all right? And some noise of recruiting. I'm seeing a lot of sunglasses flying over Twitter. Mr. Soderquist had his sunglasses on. The future looks bright, boys. Soder, how was the weekend, big guy? How are you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Ready to see some pads popping, some helmets clashing, and big drive ahead of me tomorrow. So hope to see you all down there for the spring game.
Yes, that is. Dave does have a long drive. He's got to get off and make sure he gets some good night's sleep and ready to rock and roll. What's that?
Atlanta. I was about to say Atlanta traffic sucks, so I have to get up early.
Yes, it does. It's brutal. But let's say hey to the chat, and then we'll rock and roll. IB Max says Steve is greater than Uncle Lou. Low bar, but I'm sure he appreciates the comment. I'm just kidding. Uncle Lou's the man. I love Uncle Lou.
Love him.
Muddy says Billy stacked Team Orange. We're going to get into that. I'm excited to go over that. Dominic says I'm driving, but I'll be listening. I love it. Eric Day says top 5 class inbound. James Lyon, what's up, big dog? Mama, how are you? Scott, third advisor, what's up, baby? Jacob Spencer, Todd Freeman. Godspeed says something, my boy. How we doing, big dog? Yes, sir. Got to see it through, my boy. Blake Owens. Billy G's, let's go. Chris Sorley just got to Gainesville. See y'all in the swamp tomorrow. Pitch missiles, eh? Let's go. TR3 says, love you more. Jonathan Myers says, 2025 champs. Come on. Clint says, release the hounds. Easy. We'll get out of the dog stuff. Johnny, how we doing, boys? Ben Smith, Gators 15, Hall of Fame Media. What's up, big dog? Welcome to the stream. JLB, Travis, my Lowry. What's up, baby? Billy B, Jeff Finch, the whole crew, Harrison Sanchez, Lucas Mann, and Nicholas. Boys and girls, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. And we got a little tint spot there from Chris Sarley. Says, cheers. Cheers to you, big guy. Appreciate the support, man, as always. Love you, Bubba. I love it. I appreciate it. Well, got 100 in the chat already, and we're just getting started, boys. Make sure you guys drop a like, show some love. We have a jam-packed store for you guys today. Obviously, orange and blue game is tomorrow. We're going to talk about the orange and blue, the different teams, who's on what. It's kind of an insight already to the depth chart and who's going to be the number one guys. Also, too, what are we most excited to see? Obviously, quarterback being number one, but what's our second-tier thing that we're really excited to see? Even Steve has an opinion on this as well. Obviously, being a number one competitor, ready to suit up and ready to rock and roll. Then we'll get into recruiting news. A lot has been going on. Ton of guys have put this in their top 10, top 12, top 6. Things are starting to heat up a little bit. Commits are starting to happen. We've got a commit happening this month that we are a part of. Excited to see. Not necessarily us, but the Florida Gators hat is on the table April 28th, which is my mom's birthday. So shout out to Mama. Happy birthday. So we'll be ready to rock and roll for that. And then what else we got? We got Cliff to USC. practice notes, visitors for tomorrow as well, and then a few other things with some fight news, baseball news, and NFL news towards the end. But it is going to be a jam-packed show. We are beyond excited. And again, for those of you that are here right now, we will be at the Orange and Blue game tomorrow. It looks like weather has cleared up. We should be good to go. We'll be at the Gator Walk at the Doring tent, I believe on the right side. If you're looking at the stadium, it's going to be on the right side, second or third tent, I believe. So come by and say hey. Swolderquist will be stopping by as well. He'll come up and say hey with us. So hang out, show some love, dab us up. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great day. And again, I'm excited to see all of you guys in beautiful faces tomorrow as well. And then another super chat.
Scared money don't make
Mr.
money,
Ben Smith says $5, says, where will y'all be and what time and wife driving down there right now? Well, I just answered your question. You didn't even have to pay for it, Ben, but the support is appreciated.
I probably would be there a lot more earlier than you guys will. So I'm leaving early in the morning. It's like a 4-hour drive. So I should be there pretty early. So if anybody wants to hit me up, I'll be there pretty much at like 10 or 11 in the morning. I'm hoping.
Shoot him some love.
Someone's over here complaining about the drive. It's 4 hours. Like, come on, it's a hop skip.
It's not that bad.
You have to get up early, so the rush hour.
You're making okay, Dave. You're being a little dramatic here. Okay. Real quick, Muddy just has a little message for you. Holly says, "Get ready to lose your."
Look, I mean, I will see how it goes. Like, you guys keep recruiting safeties, and I'm not too worried about it at all. You won't have a need for him, but we'll talk. We'll dive into that here a little bit as the show goes on.
We'll talk them all. First thing first, first order of business is David Connor, offensive lineman, who we've had on the show. We played Madden against him. Got our ass clapped. We did beat him in a late second play on the first game, but got clapped the second game. Has entered into the portal. Posted a picture on Instagram saying it's bigger than football. And he's going to be entering the portal, which opens up on Sunday. Soderquist has a few info on that, kind of what happened. But what's your thoughts, Dave?
Rumor, I guess rumor of an injury may have happened, whatever, that's been thrown out there. But I think kind of just, maybe with the offensive lineman coming in from the portal and the way that Billy Napier and the staff's been recruiting the taller, bigger offensive lineman. I know David Connor, I think he was like 6'6", 280, 270 coming in here to college. I'm pretty sure he's gained some weight and all that. I think kind of maybe he just kind of saw the writing on the wall and just said maybe and that's what the portal's for, right? Like
Sure.
if you maybe you're getting passed up on the depth chart, and some kids will wait, and some kids will want to stay where they're at, and some kids will say, no, I could probably try something somewhere else and to get another opportunity. And that's what he did. And I've had I've had the pleasure of interviewing him too through the Gator Collective, now Florida Victorious, which we'll get into here earlier on in the show. I've had the privilege of interviewing him, and he's actually a really nice guy. Like I hope
great guy.
the best for him. I wish the best for him, and wherever he goes, I'll be cheering for him. So.
Look, I think this is something too that we're gonna have to get used to. We saw it obviously at the beginning of this offseason, the max exodus of guys going to the portal, and we should expect this to happen as well now. And it's gonna be a disadvantage for some cases, or guys leaving the team, but also an advantage because we're able to go right into that portal as well and pick up pieces that do leave. Or if we notice, hey, we've got a weakness, we've got an opportunity to fill it now, which before we didn't. So there's pros and cons to everything. I think if you can manage it through it properly, you can have great success with it. So I'm excited about it. It'll be interesting to see what somebody like Florida State does. I'm interested to see what happens with Colorado. A lot of guys probably leaving Colorado. Again, not a negative reason, but just the same reason why they left Florida, right? They're not liking what they're seeing. They're not liking the energy. It's not all what it set out to be, and they may not be the guy. They realize them pretty quickly. I'm not going to play at all. Deion's kind of going that old route of handing out numbers, and you kind of feel pretty quickly like, hey, I'm never getting a number, right? You might feel that pretty quickly. So all those things are going to be very, very exciting to see, and how other coaches react. And we might have a little bit of a second wave of free agency. Steve?
Look, I mean, you guys, it almost feels like with the nature of Billy's offensive philosophy in the heavy run game, the power run game, with what you guys did on the offensive line and the sheer overall size that you brought in, with some of these guys being, 325, 6'6", 325, 340, things like that. Look, I don't doubt that Connor's not a great offensive line. I just don't know if for what I can look at as the talent that you brought in recently and the overall size of those guys, if this maybe is just a sheer a philosophical fit for whether or not he's able to do what Billy wants his offensive lineman to do, which it looks like is going to be a space eater, just an overall, just a different type of offensive lineman,
Sure.
less nimble, maybe just more of a road grader type to give those running backs lanes as opposed to more finesse and faster on their feet. I don't think it's a bad thing. Look, this is Billy's second year. I think there's always going to be a little bit of a roster turnover when you have a new coach coming in to get the right type of talent and the right type of just body types that you want at certain positions, tight end, wide receivers, running backs for that matter. Sometimes you don't want that scat back. You want a little heavier guy. So I think that's just really all this is. Great kid. I've watched the interviews. I watched him play Madden with you guys. I don't think it's anything more than simply just a philosophical fit on what he's able to do, his skill set, and then what Billy's looking for in his offensive lineman moving forward. It's fine that he's going into the portal, though. It gives these kids options. If not, he'd be stuck there, and that sucks. Something
to you preface. We've mentioned it before. He was recruited, for those of you that don't know, by the Mullen staff originally, right, and was kept on by Billy. So Billy coming in, probably his biggest goal was to keep everybody on as much as possible to see what would be a good fit. And we saw a lot of guys enter the portal, offensive lineman Ethan White and Tarquin, who both went to USC. And I mentioned quickly, like, look, probably didn't fit the system. Not necessarily didn't like Billy, but two different style of offenses, two different style of playing ability. So same thing going for Connor. Great point there. Moving on to the spring game. So let's go in before we get into what we're excited to see. We've got the teams pulled up here, the orange and blue roster. So from last year, I remember the offense on the orange looks like to be the number one guys. The defense on the blue seems to be the number one guy. Okay, so that's how this is playing out. Offense on the blue seems to be the second tier. The defense on the orange, just based on what we've heard, what we've been hearing out of practice, and what we should know just from general, that the defense on the second for the orange is tier 2. So let's go over this pretty quickly. Some interesting things that I'm excited, and you guys are in here arguing about the kicker right now, and I'm seeing for specialties, Trey Smack is on the orange team, which if that's the case, that he's trending towards the number one team, because the orange offensive side of the football right now seems to be the top dogs. You've obviously got Graham Mertz, the starting quarterback, followed by Trevor and Montrell as 1 and 2 running backs on the orange team. And then you got Adam on the blue team. So very interesting, because I think you guys were talking about that. Trey Smack was a number one high school kicker coming out of high school. So that was something we've been excited for a long time. And Trey Smack's a phenomenal kicker name. So would love to see him have some success. But looking at it now, what I'm interested to see is offensive line, right? You've got Austin Bomber, Damian George, Najee Harris getting the nod for that looks to be, again, the starting team. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of mix around a few guys on that orange squad, right? But to see him alongside Richie, Bryce, and then it kind of starts going down the list. Cameron Waiters, obviously, he's out for the year currently. And Kingsley, I mean, a stacked O-lineman. Really excited to see. And love seeing Najee, again, a part of this list. That's a huge nod to Najee to be on this list. Somebody who I love, who we've had on the show a time or two. So great young man, and I'm glad to see. This tells me he's having early success, if I had to say so myself. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, it's kind of like a mixed list. I think they did this last year. I can't remember what the concept or
fairly similar.
But looking at like blue and orange, and they kind of had a question in Brandon Olson's Discord there saying, which side are you going to pick? And I'm just like looking at it, I'm like, I'm picking the team with Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson. I mean,
that offense looks stout.
That right there already is like a powerful offense, just having those two guys behind center, you know. And my biggest questions, though, when I look at it is, we said special teams, right? Kicker. I mean, hasn't been that great. Wasn't great last year. Spring game wasn't. Trey Smack's on the roster. I really kind of want to see that. I know they kind of do something special with special teams, and no pun intended, in the spring practices. They may not even be returning anything. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But I mean, you got the new wide receivers coming in. We're hearing Aiden Mazzell in practices returning kicks and returning punts. I don't know if you're going to see any of that in the spring game, but I'm really curious to see what we get from these young wide receivers. You hear about Andy Jean and how he's doing in practice. You see the speed of Aiden Mazzell. They're talking about him being one of the fastest players on the team. And then you go to running backs. What about Cameron Carroll? What about God, name on the tip of my tongue right now, but what about the freshman running backs coming in here? I mean, you've got like a lot of it's more of freshmen that I want to look at more, like your Jakeem Jacksons, your Arliss Boardinghams, been hearing about in spring practice and at the tight end position where there's still been some kind of injuries there as well. I mean, you got Cameron Carroll blowing up the defensive line, and you hear about the offensive line playing well. So with all the spring notes that we've heard about, and just consistent names like Jakeem Jackson and Arliss Boardingham and Cameron Carroll, like you're hearing those names a lot. Now we finally get to go in front, see it under the lights tomorrow night, and I'm pretty pumped about it, man. Like I kind of also, obviously, I'm not going to say it, but everybody's wanted to know what the quarterbacks are going to do. I mean, that's a pretty obvious,
for sure.
Right? Graham Mertz obviously did not have the time he did at Wisconsin. I mean, he did not have a good offensive line, probably did not have good receivers as well. What does he do with new weapons? What does he do with a new offensive line? What is, we're hearing all these things in practice, but we're not seeing it. So you get a good inkling of what's going to happen. But I will say, too, in the past spring games, we've seen Luke Del Rio look good, Felipe Franks look good. And then when it came to on-field play, they weren't as good as advertised. So
very much.
I kind of just want to put that into perspective, too. So really what you see out of a spring game is us playing each other. Defense is playing offense. Offense is playing defense. So really, if you're a glass half empty person, you're going to think, oh my God, our defense sucks or our offense sucks. If you're glass half full, you're going to say, oh, well, look who made plays. Look at this. Maybe we can build off this. Got to remember, it's only spring too.
For sure. No, and I think that's something to, like, look, things are going to be excited. We're going to love what we're going to see for the most part. I would assume so, but it's just spring. But a couple things I want to address with the teams right now. So Caleb Douglas, Xavier Henderson, Ricky Pearsall seem to be the 1, 2, 3 guys, right? And Arliss Boardingham, who we've heard a ton out of camp, seemed to begin to nod as the number 1 tight end. Love seeing that. I do see Desmond Watson, though, again, what appears to be the second defensive team, which is the orange team, on that second team. Could that be a good thing, bad thing? I don't know. We saw the success that he had last year, so if he's losing a spot to the likes of Caleb Bakes, Cam Jackson, Tyreek Sapp, I'm looking at the other side here, right? Could that be a good thing, right? Could that just mean that the elevation of everyone else is that much better? It doesn't drop a little bit, or could he just be mixing in? These things we don't know, right? A lot of questions. I'm just kind of assuming here. Something I do want to point at is Sharif Denson seems to be the number 1 cornerback on the blue side, which, again, is the number 1 defense, but also has a little star by him because he will be playing on both teams. So It seems like it could be going back and forth, but I think that's a huge compliment to him to seeing where is he going to fit. Where is he at? How is he really going to step up and show out here? So, again, love seeing that. Kamari Wilson seeming to be the guy. Shamar James seeming to be the guy, which you just wrote a phenomenal article today about, which I loved reading, by the way. David, kind of being the guy, next guy up to step up. So Shamar, then Mitchell, and then Scooby and Derek. That linebacker class is looking a little bit healthier than it has in the past too. I'm excited to see what those guys can do. Again, a lot of things to be excited about for tomorrow's game. Keontae Goodwin going to be on the blue side, and Max Brown slinging it. We're going to see Graham versus Max. That to me is something huge, right? How does Jack not get the nod to starting the blue team? Now, obviously, he wants to get more reps with the ones. That's playing here, so let's not get it twisted. This isn't necessarily a shot towards Jack because those two are going to be going back and forth, and it seems that Graham has asserted himself into that third role, possibly. But for Max to get his own time to shine on the blue team, I think it speaks some words. Steve, what's your thoughts on all of this being on the outside looking in?
Really for me, and look, Billy's going to run the ball well. He's got, a two-headed monster at the running back position. We know that's his general philosophy in going into most of his game plans is to establish the run and then run the play action off that, maybe some spread, things like that. For me, from an outside looking in perspective, by the end of last year, Ricky Pearsall was your number 1 wide receiver by a significant amount. And I know injuries accounted for that and some other things. But look, Ricky Pearsall is a great wide receiver, but if he is head and shoulders significantly better than your number 2 guy, there's a significant gap there. And I think with the talent that you guys brought in with Aiden and his overall speed and what he's able to do, Andy Jean, just getting some of these guys back that at the end of the year were a little bit dinged up and weren't able to really contribute in those last couple of games. I'm interested to see what the wide receiver core can do when they're back to healthy and they have a different level of speed that I don't believe they had last year. I know Xavier Henderson's quick. I don't know if he has the long speed of an Aiden if he gets the ball in space and things like that. So I think for what Billy's going to try to do in the running game, having the talent and the speed to open things up over the top after you get the defense, playing on their balls of their feet and trying to stop the run, that's going to take the top off the safety, or at least keep the safety from being able to come down to the box. The wide receivers, I think, are going to have a bigger impact on what he's able to do, Billy, that is, with the running game. Can they block? They might be fast as hell. Can they block as well? Are they able to come down and put a shoulder pad on a linebacker to give the running back the edge? I think it's the wide receivers are going to play an integral part in this, and it may not always be catching the ball. It could be just overall top speed to get the safeties back off of you to keep some space for the running backs, and it could be the ability to block as well to give that running game what Billy wants to do on the edge. So I think that's going to be a big part of it to finally see what you look like full speed.
Yeah, no, I think the wide receiver core is going to be very exciting. Right now, again, Caleb Douglas, Xavier, Ricky seem to be on that one squad. And then we got Marcus Burke, Bowman, Andy Jean, and Mizell on that second tier with Maxie Brown slinging it to him, which we did see that touchdown pass on Twitter from Maximus Prime to Aiden Mizell, which the big head of Aiden will be in the swamp come Saturday night. Maybe we can get him a little auto. Can we give him to sign the head? And quick shout out to Don. Says, I always look forward to Wednesday nights. Love hearing that. Really appreciate that. Means a lot that you guys hang out with us again on every Wednesday night. Over 200 in the chat, which is phenomenal in April for spring game. Love the energy that we're at right now. So let's show some love. Let's see if we get to over to 75 likes. That'd be awesome. I appreciate you guys. For me, what I'm most excited for is obviously to see the quarterback room. That one's going to be a big one that I think we're all highly anticipated of. The next biggest thing for me, especially with all the changes and entering the portal, not entering to the portal, and now an offensive lineman going into the portal in a position that I've been heavy on how we should be better at recruiting, and obviously with us going towards the direction of a heavier run game, is the offensive line. How are we going to bounce back after losing two studs to the draft, right? One of them gets a brick, some heavy power that will be leaving on top of the running back room, because how are they going to adjust? Are they going to look as good as they did last year? Or better? If they look better, is that running back room that good? Or is Rob Sell doing a great job of transitioning from, hey, next guy up, let's keep moving? All those things I'm going to be really interested in, because I think it's also going to lead to the success of whatever quarterback is there and for the future. And I think that's going to speak volumes too for recruiting, which I feel like we have been dropping the ball recently. It seemed linebacker was the weak point for last year, but now it seems the linebacker void has been filled. Offensive tackle seems to me has been the weakest part of recruiting thus far. I feel like we're not landing the big names, not taking a shot at the guys we have thus far. I love the guys who we have, but I know where Florida's fan base is, where their headspace is at. They're not happy with just a 3 or 4 star. They want the big dog, and I would love a big dog too. So we've got to land. We got to land a big one. We got to get a big one in. I think how we look, obviously, the spring game isn't going to land everybody, but it'll be exciting to see, for me to see how we're able to transition for that. So, a lot to look forward to tomorrow. I think, comparing to last spring game, I think Anthony overshadowed the entire spring game, if I'm being honest. We didn't really focus on much. I watched Lorenzo, was excited to see how he was going to match up, obviously having a personal relationship with him. But I didn't really focus on too many other things because I was so blinded on, one, the physicality of Anthony. We hadn't seen him, right? So getting all those reps, just seeing his arm talent. Everything else kind of went by the wayside. That was me personally. I'm sure a lot of us did that, right? Just naturally. So this year, I think we're all going to be looking at a lot of different things because we've had a lot of different changes, and there isn't one just massive superstar, which is another big point, another big emphasis on how that's going to impact this coming season. There isn't that big superstar that Billy has to work with anymore. He gets to coach the team now, not Anthony. What's going on with Anthony? How's Anthony? How's AR? What's AR? How's AR feeling? There isn't that guy to take over. Now, I'm sure there's leadership in the locker room, which Anthony provided, but I think this is where Billy wanted to be all along of we are a team, right? The name on the front of your jersey is more important than the name on your back. With Anthony there, I don't think we were able to get that. And again, this isn't a shot. It's just simply the fact of the matter of how last year played out. So a lot of exciting things for this orange and blue game that, we were having to overcome last year. And last year, too, was the very first year that it was on Thursday night. Another big hurdle that everyone had to adjust to. Now it's the norm. We're okay with it now. We're not questioning it anymore, especially with the talent that will be there this Thursday, which we'll get into shortly. Sorry, a little bit of a rant there.
I was about to say, you went to town. You covered every corner and every aspect of what we should see in the spring game along
Nook
with
and
us.
cranny. Sorry.
I mean, it's going to be interesting, especially, with the transfers that left the program. I mean, you had to completely rebuild that roster almost from the ground up. So it's going to be completely different. There's a lot more question marks in this spring game than there was the last spring game.
That's a great point. All the points I made, that was the one that I left out, is that there's a lot of new faces that we have to get to know and learn, especially, again, the recruits, too. I feel like we got this recruiting class I felt more a part of than the previous one, too. Right, spoke with some of them, had conversations with them. They are very more active, I felt like, because Billy came in late, didn't get to build the culture of a recruiting class like he did with this one. So there's a lot with this class in the spring game, again, that we didn't have before. So beyond excited and really happy that we'll get to be there and watch it live. So good stuff. Love it, boys. Appreciate you. Good, great takes on everyone there. Love that we all had different takes and we all said a lot. Before we get into the visitors, the collective has exchanged hands. Mr. Eddie Rojas has passed the cap. I don't know what's the new gentleman's name, Dave?
Jose Costa.
Jose Costa. Okay, love it. So it obviously was the Gator Collective that is no more. It is now called Victorious, right?
Florida Victorious.
Florida Victorious. Look, we saw this coming. We had conversations with the collective. We're aware of this transitioning happen. After the negative light that happened with the collective, it was almost like, hey, to stay alive here, we got to do a rebranding. We got to fix this. We got to move forward. It has a little bit of new features to it, and we'll get into that here shortly. But for the most part, the idea is still the same, right? It's going to act and function the same way. I'm excited to see how the events will be moving forward. I'm sure those are going to be a lot different. There seems to be more of a staff this time. Last time I felt like it was Jen. that's how it felt with the Gator Collective, which she is still part of Florida Victorious, which is great to see. Love to see that her hard work was able, because sometimes, look, these things exchange hands just like a business. They may say, hey, you do a great job, but we're bringing in our own people. So looks like they took a look at it and said, hey, you're crushing it. We're going to go ahead and keep you here. But loving the transition, I think. Look, I think it speaks volumes too on how well things are moving. We're bringing more of a business mindset into this of, hey, here's how we're going to function it. I think the rollout was extremely smooth, which already complements what they're doing. The website was ready to rock and roll. You could tell these people, they've done this before. This is what they're doing. So, Dave, do you want to go kind of break that down a little bit more?
Yeah, I actually was on the phone with Eddie Rojas before we got on to the live stream here. So hopefully we can set something up and he can explain more about the transition and what went through it and everything else. So be on the lookout for that. That could be coming up here shortly. Maybe a little bonus action for us here on High Top Sports. But yeah, Jose Costa, man. I'm just gonna read a little bio from I guess his 4Share Capital. He's actually the owner. 4Share. It's a big conglomerate. He's had that career for like 25 years, still going. He earned his Bachelor's of Science from the College of Agriculture, the University of Florida, MBA from the University of Miami. Boo. But he is a very smart, intelligent man. As I said, I just got off the phone with Eddie Rojas, and he said he loves this guy. I mean, he's very professional, and he gets less of his emotions involved, of course, as Eddie used to get his. And he even told me that on the phone. He said you can joke about that, but yeah, man, I'm pumped. Just the whole staff lineup. I mean, they have like, especially I'm trying to pull it up here. I had it up here, but I had forgotten it. But the whole lineup of staff that they got there is just, it's significantly more from just like the Gator Collective. And it looks like they put more time into like getting certain, it's like they built their own army for NIL.
Yes.
I mean, you You got a CEO, chief financial officer. I mean, and on the site, it tells you their bios, and it tells you that 90% of the proceeds go to NIL, all that other kind of stuff. Because I know a lot of people had questions about that and couldn't get disclosed, but now I guess they kind of disclosed it a little bit in basic form. But the members of the advisory board is what I like. I mean, you got Anthony Richardson, Gary Condren, Hugh Hathcock, Laura Rutledge, Patrick Young, Stephanie Bryan, Danny Werfel, Trey Burton, and Chris LaFace. So, I mean, that's one hell of a lineup for an advisory board, too. So, just reinvigorating, I guess, the name and the brand. And I don't know, man. Like, I even like the logo and the way that the logo looks. I'm actually wondering when they're going to put out merchandise. I kind of texted Jen. She hasn't got back to me yet, but pretty sure since now they're still
Sure, she's busy.
transitioning and transitioning and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they haven't released merch yet, but I know a lot of people reached out to me about like their old Gator Collective accounts, and they've already been transitioned over. So like
Very quickly.
when it first started, I logged into the website and my account was still there. The board account was still there. I'm still on the boards there too, along with Bob Redmond. Nothing's changed on the boards. So, but what I really, really thought was cool is they had a membership for
Yes.
like the
Go over that because that's changed because they had 5, 10. They had more options available for the collective. They seem to have trimmed that down a little bit. And again, the offers you get, I feel like, are a lot better too. You can kind of just feel the energy, much more hands involved with it. Very Billy approach, right? More staff allows for a much cleaner process. When you got one person doing a lot, things tend to kind of get a little loose. You get some loose ends you got to clean up. So go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, the 96 Club is the one that I wanted to share because I thought it was a really good deal. If you got 96 a month, of course, I know some people don't have 96 a month, but every penny counts, whatever you want to donate out there. But this is what you do get with the 96 Club. All Gator Insider Benefits Plus, which is pretty much what you get with just about all the memberships. A 96 Club polo and visor hat with logo designed by Batesy, Gator great James Bates. We all know about James Bates. I bought one of his hoodies last year that says "Be Less Sucky." And then the exclusive annual event at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with the head football coach and the 1996 players. So that's a pretty damn good deal for 96 players or $96 a month. I said players, but like the 96 Club, could you imagine just say, yeah, I'm part of the 96 Club. You go up to Spurrier's and they treat you differently, you know?
It's pretty sick. No, I saw that and I was like, that's hard, bro. I'm tempted for the visor alone. Because visor game's coming back hard and heavy, boys, okay? Got the alma mater. I got to put that link in the description too. Alma mater, if you guys want to go get some alma mater gear, there will be a link in the description. I'll add it after this. Go check that out. But yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I was just going to say, yeah, they just got a whole ton of packages here on the website. And of course, I'm sure they've got other ones that they're going to come out here with soon. So I would stay tuned for that. But I mean, it's a good deal all around if you're a passionate Florida Gator fan. And of course, as I said, I always say this, if you got the money, take it. It's a good deal. If you don't, spread the word. If you don't have anything, you can donate. Spread the word.
Steve even donates.
Yeah, he
Oh
does.
yeah, I throw all my money at that. It's funny that they're going with the 96. You know, $96 is all it takes to be a member. It kind of reminds me of
No, that's
what
just one of the packages.
Clemson-
There's lower stuff, but go ahead.
Right. But
Yeah.
but Clemson's booster. If you guys ever watched a Clemson game on their field, they have IPTAY. IPTAY is what they call it, and essentially that was their first booster membership that they ever had when Clemson started football, and it actually stands for I pay 10 a year. And that was what the original booster donation was when they first started, if that gives you any idea on what inflation looks like. Because Florida's starting their collective and they're looking at a package deal of $96. Obviously, it relates back to the national championship year, I'm assuming. But if you kind of look at it, it's a similar idea to what Clemson still has to this day with IPTAY at $10 a month or at $10 a year to be a part of their boosters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
Eh,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say real quick, super chat from, it's always about the Gators, $2, man. Appreciate the love and support. Says, when does Eugene and the others arrive? Go Gators. They'll be there for the summer. But go ahead, Dave.
I actually forgot, so just go ahead.
Okay, I apologize for cutting you off. But yeah, look, good news. Glad to see that it's happening again. We expected it, but I think this is perfect timing, especially after the spring game. Things are going to slow down, but that's when things usually pick up with the collective and the players. That's when we kind of did a lot of our interviews last year, so it'll be interesting to see. Again, I don't think it's going to be too much of a bump in the road. I think it's going to be just business as normal, just with a different name and different logo. The Gator Collective logo was pretty hard and clean, but this new one is very fresh, very professional, and ready to rock and roll. So,
I remember. They're having a tailgate as well. They're on the Gator Walk. They're going to be right beside us, actually. Shout.
They are.
They are from 4 p.m. all the way till, I guess,
7.
kickoff.
Yep, I spoke with Jen about that, so we'll be there. We'll definitely go by and say hi. All right, let's move on. We got a few things to go over here. So top visitors for this spring. Who's going to be there? Some 5 stars. And then Steve had a great idea before the show that he coined up himself about comparing it to last year's visits and how that panned out. I'll go more into how it panned out because obviously I recognize the names a little bit better than Steve does. But it is interesting to see, again, that was Billy's first class compared to this one. And people are still lining up, right? I think that list that even we have now from last year probably isn't 100% accurate because a lot of kids are starting to come out. Even tonight, right now, with each moment, a new tweet comes out that says, I'll be in the swamp tomorrow. And I did see at the beginning of the show, I believe Jarrett Gibson just committed that he'll be there as well. Now, Steve also made a point. Why not? Why wouldn't you go to the game, right? You're not competing with anybody, which we've said this, but get them in there. The opportunity to sell somebody is sometimes all you need. So let's go over the list of who will be there first, and then we'll go to Steve on comparing it to last year. I've got the list pulled up as well. Dave?
It's a long list. Are you sure you want me to read all the names?
Yeah, so look, a few big ones here. Obviously, DJ's going to be there, 5-star quarterback. Colin Simmons, 5-star edge, who there's been some noise around that one.
We're talking recruiting and visitors, right?
Yeah, why?
Oh, okay, hold
I was like, what did I miss? I was like, did I miss something? Yeah.
What did we not do?
I was like, what? I was like, what? Xavier, Phil Same. Obviously, we've been Crystal Ball, which we're going to get into later on. Charles Lester III, 5-star defensive back. Haven't heard much noise from him. We had a lot of noise early, so he's a maybe currently. Jared Gibson, who just said yes. Kanan Daniels, Chauncey Bowens, Darius Hayes, Jordan Pride, FSU currently committed safety, who has been he's lived in Gainesville. I don't think the guy's left. He's been there every weekend, it feels like. Stacy Gage, 4-star running back. Love seeing that. Been a lot of noise with Stacey Gage. Love to land Stacey Gage. Love his energy. Josiah Davis will be there, who was obviously a Gator commit. Austin Simmons will be there, along with a Carter Smith, another 2025 quarterback, and then a ton of 2025 commits. I'm not going to go all those names just yet because we haven't heard them. There's no point. But there is a slew of them. And the reason I mention that is because I want to get into now last year's list that Steve has and kind of just comparing it last year to this year. How many 5-stars were on last year's list, by the way, Steve?
You had 3 that at the time were 5 stars,
and none of them committed. I do know that. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. One of them being DJ Lagway, who is committed, and then Xavier, who we've been crystal balled for as well. So far the trend is already better than last year.
Look, and I think Phil Same, if I'm not saying just butchering his name, I think he's elite talent. That guy looks like he could be NFL style, just level of talent if everything goes well, depending on where he ends up, and it looks like Florida. But yeah, let's just rattle off this list, and I mean, obviously some of these names will jump out at you. Some misses and some people who are on the roster for you guys now. Number 1, 5-star Cormani McLean. Obviously, we know how that whole shebang went. 5-star
Tony Mitchell. Wait, we dodged a bullet on that one. Pun intended.
Yeah, boy. 5-star offensive line Francis Mayoga. I don't know where he ended up. Do you guys remember?
Miami. He went to Miami.
That's right.
I know where all these kids went, but for the most part.
4-star athlete. They had him listed as an athlete with Samuel Mpimba.
I think he ended up being a 5-star too, by the way.
Yeah, I think he moved up. Yeah, look, this was in August, obviously, of last year. So there was
this was April.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Sorry. They had Lucas Simmons. We ended up getting him. Hakeem Williams, 4-star. Andy Jean, 4-star. Will Norman.
Let me do this really quick.
Webb.
So yeah, real quick, I want to emphasize these guys. Andy Jean, Will Norman, Trayon Webb, Roderick Kearney, who ended up flipping, by the way, from Florida State. Aid Mazzell, Eugene Wilson, Bryce Levitt, Najee Harris, Creed Whittemore, who was committed, then flipped to Mississippi State. All those guys ended up committing, and they weren't committed at this time. So just kind of, again, like, did we land all of them? No, but a hefty amount. Something else to note, 2024 running back Chauncey Bowens was there. And so that was why I was referencing in 2025 because of the 2024 commits that were there. I don't see these 2024 commits, the other ones that are there. I haven't even heard of them since then. And it could be just how things have transitioned since. But for the fact that we got Chauncey Bowens, excites me again, getting ahead of these things. It almost felt like there's almost more 2025 for this one than there is anything else, because again, I think the earlier the better, and we've talked about the importance. So, see, thanks for getting that list, man. I mean, we don't have to go through all of them, but I wanted to really focus on.
A ton. You guys had a ton of kids on campus.
It was like 50, I want to say. So again, this list is very small compared to what actually ended up coming. So who knows? There may be more names that I don't even know that we were able to commit. Before we move on, though, almost 300 people in the chat. Incredible. On a Wednesday night. I can't thank you guys enough for being here and hanging out. So if you are new, let's see if we can get to 100 likes. Would really appreciate the love and support. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And Dave, I almost didn't recognize you with your glasses. Do you have a take on these visits?
If the shades don't say anything, then I think I've spoken just by visual. But yes,
okay.
I will say about the 2025 kids, there is a lot of those out there too, and you want to get these guys in here as early as possible. Even your 2026 kids, I think there might be a few that show up there too. Yep. I don't know, but you want to get like the 2025.
My little brother will be there, and he's 2026. He doesn't have an official visit, but he will be there.
He's a 5-star, right?
He's a family 5-star. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. This is recruiting Dave talking right now with the glasses on here. So, it's a good thing that we're getting the 2025 kids, as I said, on campus as well, because you want to establish that relationship early, and you never know where the 2025 kids that are unranked right now, which they usually don't have a ranking until way later unless they're really high up there on the board. You don't know where they're going to wind up either. So it's good to establish those relationships as well. So I'm really excited that they got a ton of 2025 kids. And of course, the 2024 guys that, crystal balls that you see out there. And, it feels good. It feels different this year, Sheldon, doesn't it?
Come on, Florida Chris. Let them know what's up, big dog. It does feel different. It feels really good. A couple super chats really quick from James Lyon. Says, donating for Dominic. Poor guy doesn't know how to use a phone. Well, we all know that. Just take a look at his Spit Cam Mountain Dew addiction. And then Travis Everett. I appreciate you bringing this up, Trav. Says, this is for women at FSU last night. The series is clinched, boys. Series is clinched. Hey, Dom's figured it out. Dom figured it out. $5 says, David's scalp gives me that feeling to itch my ball sack. Holly, shut up. Shelton, you're a fluke in Madden, like Duck Race. Love y'all. Catch up. Go Gators.
Scared money don't make money,
Oh, my God.
He's been sitting on that for a while. Dude, he has been pissed off in this chat that I'll give the guy credit, man. He's been trying to throw money in this damn chat for at least 30 minutes. At least 30. He's throwing a hissy fit in the chat. He finally figured it out. I just give the man his
delivered.
credit.
He delivered.
Yeah, you put his quote back up there on the screen, okay. Sheldon. I mean, this man did his damn due diligence. He wasn't giving up, Dom. Shut up, Dom. But thank you, Dom.
All right, just take a screenshot. It'll last longer.
All right. Nice. Moving on. Passing the buck disorder quiz. We have our last practice notes. Sunglasses are coming off. Back to business, boys and girls. Dave, how did the last one go? Give us some cheddar, baby.
All right, these come from the new Florida Victorious boards out there. If you guys have not, it is.
This guy's a professional.
Yes, if you have not joined, $15, and you get the detailed notes. These will be the more basic notes, but to get the detailed notes and know what really actually happens out there in the practice. And appreciate Gaines Vegas for keeping us updated there on those Gator Collective Florida Victorious boards. Graham Mertz had one of his best days. Actually, the last practice, not scrimmage anymore. Jack Miller hits Andy Jean for a huge 50-yard pass. Ricky Pearsall was Ricky Pearsall, of course. We all know what he can do. Cameron Carroll had a good day as well. Miguel Mitchell had a pick. At least a guy that, you don't see that much. You don't hear about. Miguel Mitchell had a pick. Kamari Wilson had some pass breakups. Jalen Kimber had a really good day, had the best day out of all the defensive players in that practice. And Kelby Collins had another good practice as well. So that's all I got from that. As I said, the more detailed notes will be on the Florida Victoria Sports.
Love it. Love hearing that. And I forgot. I had a separate subject pulled up for this, a line, but I'm going to add it to this. Obviously, my new favorite, I would say, person for the Swamp right now is none other than Coach Armstrong. And Florida Gator football is doing a better job, in my opinion, this year of posting more clips, not just photos, right? It was something that we've talked about, and getting us more engaged. And there was a mic'd up moment of Mr. Armstrong just fired everybody up, and I love it. I love mic'd up. I mean, who doesn't like the mic ups, right? I mean, if you're not human if you don't like those kind of things. Just giving you a little bit of love and insight. So, I can't find it anymore. I hope they didn't take it down. I found it. We're good.
He's
let me
back.
go ahead.
Kid is back.
Details, man.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's pull up here. Let's view it. Let's show the people at home what's going on here.
Shelton needs to get you a stream.
Details. Hey, man, look at me. We said we control the elements, right? We control the elements. Get lined up the right way. You good? I love you. Take the field. Let's execute. Second down, then third down. Second, then third down. Wow, Scooby. Unbelievable. Nice job. Finished. Nice job, Scooby. Did you see Scooby? That was dynamic.
Dynamic.
Nice job. Nice job. Nice job. Nice job.
He broke Coach Armstrong's hand there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he
Details,
literally
man.
just knocked it back like
Details.
15 yards. Dynamic.
You got to watch the jumping around. Somebody's popping an ACL. The coaches
Yeah,
are a little heavy set guys. They're like, come on,
Yeah,
guys.
quit having fun. Quit having fun. Dynamic. I love you. I love it, man. It fires me up. Okay, gets me just all tickle pink, pits whip, all hell loose. I love the hell out of it. But I saw that and Kayla was talking about. Oh, shh. Coach Armstrong's talking, baby. Relax. You simmer down for a minute. I love it. Holly hitting the podcast transfer portal. Look, he's probably going to F's Fanatics. Cody doesn't even come on and hang out anymore. I invited Cody on the show. He's obviously too big for us now. Doesn't even come and hang out anymore. So he's moved on, and I wouldn't be surprised if he recruited Holly from us. So keep your eyes out.
Unlike High Top, Cody's checks cash. You know, those they go through. So I might have to start looking at some things.
Oh, look! This
Shelton's the new John Ruiz of the internet space right now.
Hey!
I love you, baby.
This might be the shot of the night. Dom says Shelton's eyebrows touch when he gets happy. What's up, Dom?
Do it. Do it.
Ruiz's eyebrows touch all the time.
Did it do it? I hate it here.
This place is
I hate
something
it
else.
here. I'm going home.
God, Tom.
Real quick, Truth Seeker says, do y'all think Jeremiah Smith will still be a take even with all the drama on Twitter? Will Billy still pursue? That is interesting. So he had drama to kind of catch everybody up. It was with Miami, mind you. Right, you shared it, Dave. There was a little bit of drama with Miami, and he kind of like took a jab saying, I won't be visiting. And so I think his question is, will Billy still pursue into somebody that I guess gets involved in those shenanigans, right? That type of character, I'm assuming is the question. Not a bad question. I think Jeremiah handled it from what I saw. I did see there were some tweets deleted, so I don't know what was deleted. Him saying, hey, I won't be back 100. I don't find anything wrong with that. I think guys tweet stuff all the time. And it's the new world that we live in, the new age. I don't feel like he said anything too outlandish or disrespectful, in my opinion, especially with it being towards Miami. You could have said whatever you wanted. I would probably be okay with it. So I might be a little biased here. But look, he was referring to a fan who was ragging on him. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I wouldn't care. Like, if you were to say that you weren't going to visit Florida now, then yeah, I'm pretty sure Billy would probably have an issue with it. Say, okay, whatever. But when it's like directed towards Miami and opposing fan base, and it wasn't even really that bad from what I saw. So I mean, it's just some dude went after him on Twitter.
Just
and
chop
he
talk.
let him- Yeah, it was funny.
That's it.
It was really hilarious. I would still recruit
Good
him
question,
because it
though.
made me laugh.
Good question. Though.
Look, hey, Charles Lester took that screenshot from Smith and dropped it on his Instagram, and at the bottom it just said "me either." Like he's done. So it's not just.
I love it.
It's not just Jeremiah Smith. Some of the other guys are jumping in and retweeting it and adding it to their Instagram and giving their own little pot shots here and there. So yeah, it's not just a one-man show. He was just the first one to take the jab. He's got plenty of guys in his corner from what it looks like.
No, I love it. Look, and he was, from what was being said, is that Jeremiah was saying, hey, don't visit Miami, go to Florida or FSU. So, Steve, I think we're like, all right, yeah, Jeremiah Smith's a good dude. He's cool in my book.
Like him. Love it.
James says, Dom spending that dip money. I love it. This chat's unbelievable. You guys are incredible.
It's amazing.
It's the energy's unreal.
And for Jeremiah Smith, I'll say this: even if you go to Florida State, I want you to come to Florida. But even if you go to Ohio State, I'm okay with it just because of what you did.
Yeah,
to
you're cool in my
Miami.
book, bro.
You're
Cool in my book.
book.
Cruising and
Go out with a
visiting.
bang, baby. Go out with a bang.
So we had a ton of visits this past weekend, a ton of visits happening obviously this weekend. Well, more so today, tomorrow, and probably Friday, and then it'll cool down, I'm assuming, over the next 2 weeks because other spring games will be happening. As expected is what it is, right? But a couple of interesting names that were there this past weekend were the number 1 and 2 running backs. Jarrett Gibson, he's been there multiple times, but Cam Davis, FSU commit all the way back to 1999. He's been committed to FSU. Decided to take his talents elsewhere and shop around a little bit and visited Florida. Now, look, him and Jarrett both said Jarrett's still pretty heavy on Texas. Cam's still heavy on FSU. But I love the fact that we're getting him in the door. Love the fact that they're shopping around. And why wouldn't they? Right? You get a free visit to go see a tour. You get pampered. Get shown some love. Now, it wasn't an official visit. It was an unofficial visit, so it's on his dime. And but look, love seeing this much talent in the room. I think the amount of top tier visits shows the buzz. People want to see what's going on. Now, will it execute? Maybe not. Maybe not all of it. But again, you're casting a net out there, a nice thick heavy net, and you're gonna reel a few in. Some are gonna squeak out. That is what it is. But that net seems to be a little bit heavier than it was last year. In fact, last year we were scratching and clawing. Our Friday Night Lights, in my opinion, was our big hoorah for visits. That's late in the game. We should be going into Friday Night Lights with a slew of guys. We had some guys, but more so, and we're kind of pulling in those late fishes. We were trying to build a class, in my opinion, last Friday Night Lights. So I hope to be more of we're landing some dogs come Friday Night Lights versus building a class on Friday Night Lights. So having these guys visits is huge, right? Again, Jarrett Gibson, who has his 4 official visits planned out. That 5th one's still up for grabs, which Florida seems to be in the lead for that. But we'll see. And again, the running back room is a very interesting one. Already having 2 commits. Stacey Gage has been heavily favored. I wouldn't say heavily. It's definitely moved around, but a nod that Florida has been getting quite some time now. Cam Davis, in my opinion, is an FSU lock. I would be crazy. I would love him. I think he's a great kid, and that was something that Florida complimented on him was just his respect and how great he carried himself. But Dave, what are your thoughts on those visits? And then we'll go to Steve, obviously taken out of his backyard.
Yeah, whether the commitments are pretty solid or not, you still don't want to stop recruiting an elite talent, right? So you see a lot of these battles, and I'm not saying this is going to be the result or anything like that, but you've seen a lot of battles where you thought you were out of it and there was no chance, and then all of a sudden comes signing day and they flip. Also, at the same time, these kids want to take their visits. They want to be wined and dined and all that other kind of stuff. And they're going to take their visits. It is interesting, though, that, Gibson has visited Florida this many times. And, of course, he's being crystal ball to Texas. You always want to go after those guys. You always want to go after the elite guys no matter what. And you want to do it all the way till the end. With Florida, with 2 running backs in their class, I've heard that they're not going to take more than 2, but that doesn't mean anything, especially going down the stretch. If Jarrett Gibson or somebody elite that is an elite talent really wants to come to your school, what do you do? I mean, in that situation, you're going to take him anyway. Even if you keep the other 2, you're going to take the other one too. It's one of the, like I said, the track record that Billy Napier had for running backs. I mean, you go back to his time at Louisiana Lafayette, how much production he got out of the running backs there. Then you see what happened last year with the offensive line and the running backs there. Of course, this season went 6-7, but you saw the running game. You saw so much explosiveness out of that running game. I think there was at least, I don't know, 10 to 20 plays of 20-plus yards or more running the football. Of course, Anthony Richardson had a lot to do with that too. But you see that, and you see the offensive line production, and how could you not, as a running back recruit, whether you're elite or not, want to consider Florida just based on how Billy Napier loves to run the football?
No, agreed. That's something I preach to. And look, I wouldn't be shocked if we were to try to land 3 running backs. Would 3 running backs be happy about that? Just due to the fact of us only recruiting 1. Now, we did get Cam Curl in the transfer portal, but could there be a little bit of a void that they're trying to fill there? But again, getting 3 guys to stay committed is going to be tough. But yeah, like you said, one of those top tier guys, right? And look, we kind of talked about this too, because there was a lot of knack towards Kanan Daniels being a 4-star. Why are we getting excited about it? This running back class, if you look at it, is pretty elite. I mean, this kid played Kanan Daniels in 5A, played up against some top tier talent. He's 5'10", or 5'11", excuse me. He's bigger than Cam Davis, and 190. Cam Davis is 210. That weight's easier to put on than height. Okay, so 5'11", 190. It's a big boy. We saw his film. Okay, guy's got wheels, averaging 10 yards to carry. We've talked about. We expect his ratings to go up. So stars and all these things aren't everything, but they do look. There's definitely a point there, and they definitely help. Let's not get it twisted here, but it does help. I would say in recruiting other 5-stars, because they want to be amongst a top class. So more so, I would say, just for recruiting purposes, landing one of these top 5-star guys would be extremely beneficial. Not necessarily on the field, but more so off the field and other recruiting aspects. Steve, what's your thoughts on the poach attempt of Cam Davis? If this were to happen, this would be 3 in a year with Roger Kearney. I'm assuming Jordan Pride, and then Cam Davis. It's kind of like baseball.
If the other 2 happen, if the other 2 happen, right now they're still committed to FSU. Look,
Sure.
The one thing I will say is you guys, like you said, like, you cast a net. Right now, these guys are committed to somebody else, or at least they're crystal balled, or put an RPM prediction in, or whichever site you're looking at, to other schools. Right. The worst thing that can happen is that they stick with their commitment. So bring them in. You can't go backwards here. I mean, the only thing you can do is potentially pick a guy up that you didn't expect just because you continue to recruit him, to Soder's point. The other thing, and I think this is one of those intangibles that you don't ever really see, but these kids all know each other. They play high school football against each other. They go to camps. They go to recruiting visits. They've all been within a small group of a niche thing, right? They're football players. Football players know football players who know football players. So let's just take Cam, for example. Even if Cam is 100% steadfast in his commitment to FSU, Cam knows other players who may still down the line go through the recruiting process. And if Cam can say, look, I went on a visit to Florida and I told them I was committed to Florida State, and they still treated me so well. They still took care of my family. They still brought us in. They still gave us, a great experience. I stuck with FSU, but Florida treated us well. That kind of stuff has a reverb down, a downstream effect that, again, it doesn't show up on the recruiting rankings. It doesn't show up in the interviews. It's not something that really kind of bubbles up to the top. It's something that happens within a unique kind of clique of these guys that are going through the process now, who have talked to guys who have gone through the process, a few years before them, and they're going to have that same knowledge to give somebody else down the road. So even if these guys flip, if they stay with their commitment, whatever the case may be, to Soder's point, that's why you got to continue to recruit these kids, is to show a little bit of a genuine concept of, hey, he's a Florida State commitment. He told us in his visit he was going to stick with Florida State, but, we're still going to show him a good time. We're still going to enjoy his company. Obviously, he's a good kid, right? But that will tell, Cam will go down the path and he'll tell other schools that this is how Florida's coaches acted. This is how they treated us. This is what they did for us. And I think there's just a thing there. It's an intangible that you can't really see, but I promise you guys it happens, because these guys talk a ton. Even just looking at the Jeremiah Smith and the Charles Lester thing, where these guys are kind of just jumping on and they're kind of piling on this thing with the Miami hate. You know, I mean, these guys have a connection outside of what we see in the interviews that we see.
That's a great point. Again, I didn't even think about it like that, but yeah, maybe FSU doesn't offer them, but like you said, they go, hey, that's a great family. Go check it out at least. Go see what's going on. And so now you're extending that recruiting tentacle, right? I love that. That excites me. I appreciate Steve over there giving Florida the old nod. Maybe he is. Maybe he is a Gator fan.
I respect it.
Like if you don't offer somebody,
well, the other thing is that the player goes back to the coach. The player goes back to his high school coach and says, "Here's the experience I had," and that could very well turn into a coach trusts what some of these other coaching staffs are doing in the way that they're treating these kids. You know, when the high school coach isn't around. So again, all that stuff is just relationship building. It's a bigger, intangible, invisible thing that has a long-term effect.
You railroaded Dave there, Dave.
No. I was gonna let him go because he was making another good point. Yeah, I mean he's right. Like even if you don't offer a kid and he still has a good time at your school, he's gonna go tell everybody else. So that further extends. Yeah, I mean it's a good point. I'm glad he brought that one up because I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's great. It's that outside perspective, right? Because we're just looking kind of how it benefits us too.
I will say though, what if Jarrett Gibson goes up to the staff and says, "Hey, I want to commit," and you already got 2 running backs? But
it's a good problem to have, Dave. It's a good problem to have. Hey, clean the sunglasses off, big guy. Clean the sunglasses off. It's gonna be a big one.
Put the sunglasses on.
No. I'm just saying if Jarrett,
clean them up.
Just keep them clean. Just keep them ready.
I'll keep them clean, shiny.
Next two guys we have obviously Xavier, Phil Same, 5-star safety. Let's talk about this really quick. So Dave, we've heard a lot of noise about possible commits happening this weekend. Xavier just got crystal ball to us. Could that be a big one that happens on Thursday night?
Hold on.
Could they pull out Xavier into the center of the football field and he goes, for the next 3 to 4 years? Just a thought, boys. And he commits. There's some other names that have been circling as well. And Dave, I'm going to pass this to you to go over the other names and then where this places us. Dave whipped out his old handy dandy calculator and projected if we were to land these 2 names that's been circulating, where we would end up. Dave, over to you. Passing the buck.
If we were to land, Same, and I did say his name right because I made sure I looked it up. And the said other recruit, and I'm not going to say his name just because I don't like to lose my sources. But that will put us at 185 on the 24/7 Sports Composite, and we will be number 5. So we'll be in the top 5 again. Now, on 3 would probably have us at 3. I would believe. I didn't do their calculator or anything like that, but we're already at number 4 at on 3. But that would put us at 5.
Hang on. Okay.
How about them Gators? Scared money don't make money, you know?
Steve's a Gator fan. I love it.
Oh, God.
Fired up, baby. So big stuff. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your spacesuits dusted off, boys. Should be a healthy weekend. There it is. Let them know, Dave. Let them know.
Got to shine them up.
Got to shine them up. So good stuff there. I'm loving it. Enough of that stuff. Let's move on. This is a fun little topic here for this season. The most anticipated story going into next season. All right? So there's a kind of a 2 ways of looking at it. What is going to be the most exciting thing by the time August hits that people are talking about? Oh, Jesus. That people are talking about and most excited for, and that will probably, I would also say too, have the most rewarding feeling, I guess you can say. First being just Deion in Colorado, right? Is that going to be the hottest thing come August and hold its hotness throughout the year? Just him being there, right? Just that entire facade. Next, Uga 3-peating. It's not being talked about right now because nobody wants to talk about it, but once spring game comes out, there's a pretty locked in of who their quarterback's going to be. Game 1 happens. Game 2, that noise is going to start heating up pretty heavily, and I think it's going to hold throughout the season more than most. Arch winning the starting job. Is it going to be a story, or is it not? And if it is, could it overshadow a lot of these things for most of the season because it's just he was the hottest name when he was just a recruit. Can only imagine what's going to happen when he's in Texas and when Texas is, goes to the SEC. But that could be more of a next year story. Rule in Nebraska. Could he put Nebraska back on the map year one? Could he get Nebraska back to its Nebraska-ish form? Nebraska wins 5 games, it's going to be an absolute hell loose. They're going to go absolutely berserk. Give them 6 games, they go nuts. And then lastly, can Lincoln get it right? Can Lincoln Riley get things in order? That news story of, are things going to go in his right direction? I think that story is going to be probably later on in the season where it'll pick up some noise. But I'm going to pass it to Steve first. For your opinion, out of those, what are you most excited for? And where do you think the buck will fall as the most excited story for the next year?
Ooh, those are some good ones. I'll say for the short-term instant gratification, Colorado, just because there's been so much hype, and I think everybody's going to immediately want to see if the hype turns into actual production. But they have such a difficult schedule in the first 4 weeks. By week 5, you could not really care anymore. So that'll give you the instant gratification.
Sure.
I think the Texas situation will have a little bit more staying power, because if Texas comes out flat and their quarterback play doesn't look good, you're going to start to get those chants. You're going to start to get those voices, and you're going to start to see people want to get Arch in there. Again, it won't be right off the bat. It won't be game 1, game 2, game 3, but come mid-season, depending on how Texas is playing, that one might still have more staying power, more steam towards the end of the year. The Colorado thing will be great for the first 3 weeks. Maybe that goes as well, depending on how they play. I don't expect them to be all that great, but I think the Texas eyeballs will have a lot more focus just because of the following and the namesake. So I'm going to go with Arch long-term, Colorado short-term.
Good answer. Dave?
Well, I'm definitely not anticipating a three-peat from Georgia, so I'm going to wipe that one off. So, yeah, man, thinking about it, he brings up a good point about Arch. I wasn't crazy about him as a quarterback recruit just based on his film and how he performed, and I do not know why he got the number 1 quarterback spot, but he did, and that's going to be something looked upon, especially by Texas fans. So I do see the nod there of, if Texas struggles, does Arch come in? Does he save it? I think the most anticipated story, though, and I hate to say it because, I mean, you know how I make the comments about Dion, man, but, I mean, the way that there's just so much hype around it, and just you see all the videos and people are talking about Colorado and Dion. If Dion has just minute success at Colorado, I don't know what the record was last year. Was it pretty bad?
1-11.
Yeah, 1-11. So if he even wins like 4 games or 5, and maybe he looks impressive in some of those wins, oh, dude, you're talking about like, oh, what's he going to do next year? Who's he going to get into Colorado? I mean, he already took Cormani McClain. I mean, he had Travis Hunter. I mean, he's getting talent to Colorado. He's getting kids that are considering Colorado as a top school that are elite recruits. So, I mean, you're already getting his name out there. And his logos, I see it all the time. Hayes Fawcett posting top 10s and top 12s, and you see Colorado in a lot of them. And you're just like, okay, so the hype is there. I mean, kids want to go to Colorado. They want to visit Colorado. And I think if Deion Sanders if he wins 5 or more, you're talking about major hype. That's going to be one of the most anticipated, talked about stories ever. So I would have to pick Colorado and Dion, but as Holly said, it could be a short-term thing, but we have no clue. But I mean, look at that division. You get talent at Colorado. I mean, come on, he's going to be able to compete.
So I think Holly nailed it on the head with short-term excitement. I think Colorado is going to do a phenomenal job. They lose 1 game, 2, right? The fan base that has been created at Colorado is not a true football fan base. This isn't a knock. It's just from how I've been floating around the Colorado noise. It's more just the culture that's being brought along with it, and just being a Colorado Buffs football fan, right? So if things slow down, there's always going to be noise, but the college, I would say like the true college base, will turn a blind eye, especially being out west. I find it going to be hard to follow as the season goes on, unless they're just absolutely blowing it out of the water. So yes, short-term success, I couldn't agree more. I honestly, as much as it kills me to say this, thinks that the Georgia news story is going to have the biggest hype. They have a pretty easy schedule, which we've talked about before. That Florida-Georgia weekend is going to be probably the turning point of the season. They get through that season, the conversation of a three-peat happening is going to amp up pretty quickly because that's massive history on the line. And the talk of dynasty starts to come into play. A lot can happen. Huh?
I said no.
I know. I'm being unbiased here, right? Like that's just the fact of the matter because you've now transitioned quarterbacks and Kirby's still getting it done. I think a lot of that has going to have a play into. I think the arch is going to be fun to watch, but it's going to fall flat, just like everything will. The Lincoln Riley has a potential to heat up towards the end. That one's going to be a slow, steady burn and have just kind of like it was this past year, where it's going to come down to probably more than likely the Pac-12 if I had to guess. So Lincoln Riley is going to end up in November, but Kirby's conversation will start a little bit sooner, which will have both of those stories will collide, and I still think the three-peat will overshadow it by the end of it. So great points. Loved it. I hope you guys enjoyed that topic. Before we get anything, real quick, Duddle celebrates 3 months of memberships, gifted 150. I don't think that's true. I didn't see anything pop up. If you did, Duddles, holy shit. But there's no way. There's no way. You're a crackhead if you did. If you did, I love you. That's wild. But Freckled Baz says celebrates his 4 months, says love seeing someone gifting as well. Hell yeah. I didn't see them. Typically, they pop up like who was gifted.
Up. Yeah, it looks.
I didn't see anything.
If you guys did that, it's we don't see it on our side, but hell, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but wow, if you did, love you, man. You're incredible. But love the fact that you've been a member for that long. Either way,
I was gonna say if he did, I'm hanging out at his house.
Right.
I love.
Here
it.
you go, Shelly. Real fast before you bounce to the next subject. So just going back to the chat real fast. So Harrison Sanchez says, "I live in Colorado. Nobody gives a crap about college football." Just to kind of touch on that real fast, the crazy thing about that, Harrison, is that the local crowd, the local crowd of around Colorado, isn't where all the hype is coming from. It's from everybody from the outside looking in. If you live in Colorado, nobody gives a crap, my man. Just turn on ESPN and trust me, you will see how much the rest of the world cares. So even if it doesn't feel like there's no hype for college football, if you're in it and you're living, you eat it and sleep it and breathe it like the other two numbnuts that are on this channel with me right now, trust me, there is a ton of hype for Colorado.
And I'll say this, even if Deion Sanders starts winning like really heavily at Colorado fans are going to care about football if he starts winning.
They'll tune in. Look, they're going to the Orange Blue game. They're going to the spring game. So I think that the energy is definitely back, but that's my point. They lose a game, it's gonna deflate very quickly, and not negatively. They're just like, all right, whatever. It's same old Colorado. Like it wasn't really real because there's never a true buy-in right now. But they start winning some games, recruiting heats up. I think, kind of going back to, I think Colorado has the biggest upside because it would be absolutely insane. But I think it'll fizzle out towards the end of the season. I think it's gonna be exciting regardless, but it fizzles out more so than the other ones. Next thing is
on that, Harrison.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. It kind of like happened silently. I felt like this should be more breaking news than what it was. Is going to USC as an analyst, offensive analyst. I mean, that is massive. That's absolutely huge for Lincoln to add him to the staff. Another quarterback whisperer, essentially, to the staff. And right now, again, USC is in heavy pursuit for Dylan Raiola. Does this help with that? I mean, you got two guys. Now, it's great having the head coach as a quarterback whisperer, but now you got two of them. One kind of more of at an easier disposal, and he's an analyst, right? Mind you, this man's rolling in dough. Arizona paid this guy like 3 arms and a leg and a yacht. I think it's like $70 million for doing nothing. So he's vibing. He doesn't give a damn. He's chilling, right? Like he's like, I don't want any stress. I'm here to hang out, live out in Cali, and play some college football on Saturday. That's kind of his mindset. So zero stress, but you're kind of like two brothers. They look alike. Two young, good-looking dudes coming into USC, getting it done. Look, USC right now is out there on their own little cliff, hanging out, and pun intended. And when Lincoln Riley went out to USC, I said, look, it's brilliant. There's nobody out there. You don't have to compete with anybody. Now, Oregon, UCLA, now obviously Coach Prime, those are up and coming, but Lincoln Riley, in my opinion, is in a class of his own compared to those guys. He's phenomenal. He just can't get it done at the end, but everything else he does right. And now you add this to the mix, and even Saban said it. And Saban said, he goes, we're all worried about Georgia and myself, and USC, who's I'm worried about, they're out there just chilling, dominant. They're what Alabama was for the last 10 years. They're gonna start eating. And this edition kind of just speaks to that. So I've said it last year. I'm excited for USC to get back on the map. They don't really, in my opinion, affect us that much because we'd only face them at the end. I don't mind playing them at the end of the year, playing the championship. So USC having success, I enjoy. It's good for college football. I hate USC, but I enjoy the success that they're looking to have. So this could be massive. This could be really big for them. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, with the track record Cliff Kingsbury has had, plus the talent that you're getting in at USC, I mean, that could be a deadly combination. And isn't that the perfect job to just be like an analyst and make that much money?
Make it $70 million a year, bro. And the best thing is USC ain't got to pay it.
Right. But I'm sure the taxes will make sure that goes down quite a bit. But at least he's still making a payday there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's when I heard the news, I was just like, wow, USC, man. I think they're one of those teams right now that are kind of flying under the weather that you got to look out for because just the talent that they brought in. You know, I mean, you got the talent. You've got Kingsbury there. Of course, I mean, I guess defensively, you may have to work on some things there or whatever.
For sure.
But, I mean, I can see USC just based on the fact with the coaching change and how they're getting talent there that they could sneak back up and possibly be maybe the 2006 USC we used to know, 2005,
The potential is there.
I'm not going to say Pete Carroll-like or anything like that, but I don't like it for us, of course, because he didn't come to us, but like I like it for them. I think it's an elite hire. I mean, just like kind of like the Corey Raymond hire we had here is elite hire, and I'm just curious to. I mean, shoot, that offense is going to be pretty good. I think.
Insane, Steve.
Yeah, look, I mean, they may have to do something with the defense, but they very well could just leave it the way it is, which is
just put up 100 points a game.
If you're
not worry about it.
Points, it's not going to matter, right? I mean, and let's just kind of bounce up a couple of names off some folks that Cliff Kingsbury has been the head coach for. And we talked about Baker Mayfield. Let's not forget a guy named Patrick Mahomes that thrived at Texas Tech of all places. So the other thing, and this is a little nuance that matters when you're talking about an analyst and you're talking about an actual coach. Coaches have limits as to how much exposure they can have with the players throughout the practice periods, right? Everything is measured in periods, and the coaches can only have so much actual exposure to the players themselves. Analysts don't have that limitation. Technically, Cliff Kingsbury could post up in the quarterback's like top bunk and never leave the kid, and that never violates an NCAA rule on the amount of exposure that Kingsbury has with their returning quarterback. His name escapes me off the top of my head right now, but obviously won the Heisman. Who's the quarterback?
Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams.
So look, I mean that the fact that they're bringing him as an analyst, it's a very Alabama style move. Where Alabama has been the home for wayward boys and bringing in anybody and everybody who could possibly help them out, and they put him in these oddball spots, but. Again, it kind of goes back to what they're able to do in that analyst role versus an actual on coach staff. That could be dangerous for college football. And let's not forget the three most fertile recruiting grounds in all of college football are Florida, Texas, and California.
Yep, good point.
That could turn dangerous even if they're just able to put a barricade around their state by itself.
Yeah. No, look, it's me fun to watch. David, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, the chat's telling you that it says Kilf and not Cliff.
I did it on purpose. Real quick. Ed Dupree says, I live in Colorado now, Gator for life, but the football fans I do see here are excited about Colorado. Love the show, y'all. Yeah, I agree. They're excited, but do they got a show on Wednesday night in the middle of April with 200 plus in the chat? Nah. That's what I'm talking about, like that kind of like commitment to the game. It hasn't been there, right? So I agree with they're excited, but things don't go their way. It's like FSU and other sports. They're there when it's going well, but it's non-existent I'm right, Steve. That's like a shot, but not a shot. It's like a shot, but not a shot. Like that's just. Look, there isn't many schools that are kind of bought into every single sport. I think Florida is one of the few that we kind of ride every sport. Like most Gator fans kind of follow baseball, basketball, gymnastics, swim. It helps that they're good at most of those things too. Like that makes it more exciting to follow. So, and then Duddle says feel bad for trolling. He goes, you guys hit 50,000 by 2024, and I got you. All right, bet. Deal's a deal, baby. We're coming for you.
Well, now we have a receipt, so don't you run from us. Don't you run when it's time.
Yep. Cliff also coached Case Keenum, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, and Patty Mahomes. So he's got a list. It's a stud lineup there now at USC. Moving on, great discussion so far tonight, and we also broke 100 likes. So thank you guys for the love and support. Passing it back to Steve. I've got a funny little thing here with this comment because it's interesting that this is Steve's topic, and of course it is. But go ahead, Steve. Explain the rules. Make it short though. We're an hour and a half in, and Dave's gonna get to bed.
We're working here. All right, so real fast. Let's talk about the law of unintended consequences here. So real fast. So Major League Baseball has now instituted a pitch clock. So from the time that the catcher throws the ball back to the pitcher has a certain amount of time, much like the NBA, in how long he has to make his next pitch. What that has done is exactly what they wanted it to do, where it has shortened the game by over 30 minutes. However, at the same time, yes, it's great for baseball. It's great for the average spectator. However, if you're in the stadium, that's also 30 less minutes that these franchises have to sell you booze. So what have they done? The old school take me out to the ball game, the seventh inning stretch, is known as the cutoff of alcohol within the stadium. No longer will the seventh inning stretch and take me out to the ball game be where you can no longer get a delicious frothy beer. It has now moved to the eighth inning because screw tradition. They want their damn money, and you know good and damn well you want another beer. So make sure everybody who might be going out to a Major League Baseball game knows you got that one extra inning.
First of all, I'm going to pat myself on the back because that was a great title there. Seventh inning stretched out. Secondly, I find it ironic that Steve finds the one thing that involves extra time for more drinking. This is the article that Steve brings to the table that allows a longer threshold for drinking. That's what he was most excited about. But I love the new rule. Watching baseball has always been one of my favorites. I talk about it all the time. People are like, man, you really get excited about baseball. I love baseball. I would rather go watch a baseball game than anything else. That's just how I am. I just enjoy the atmosphere of a baseball game. It's something you got to really appreciate the game and understand it and love it. I'm not going to get in a pissing contest with who thinks it's boring. I don't care about that. But I love the fact that it is sped up, but it is. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of the money being lost from the games being shorter. That's a lot of money. 30 minutes, Steve. How many beers you throwing down in 30 minutes, big guy?
Well, at an FSU Florida baseball game, that's at least 225 pints. You know,
that's what I'm saying. You're gonna go wait in line, right? You're gonna buy two while you're waiting in line because you know I got a couple innings left. You know, I got to get to the ninth inning, so you might overshoot. Now, knowing that, hey, the game's gonna be done shortly, we're cruising through it. Like I'm just gonna get one. It's funny. It's a fun topic, and when he put it in there, I was like, we got to talk about it because it's hilarious. So more so because the fact that the one article he brings up is related to drinking. Dave, we're talking about baseball. It's when they play catch.
We can talk about that wonderful baseball game the other day.
Oh, there it is. Gators baseball's on an absolute burner. Speaking of Gator sports, though, real quick, I meant to bring this up. Gator basketball, Todd's doing some work in the transfer portal, and 3 massive portals, and we got a commit just the other day. I don't follow Gator basketball offseason like that, but Todd Golden was not necessarily on the hot seat, but Scott Strickland has been on the hot seat due to these 2 hires not having the success that we wanted. But Season 2, Billy's looking great, and so far, Todd Golden's doing a great job in Season 2. So, shout out to those 2, and Scott might be back on the saving himself some time here. Super chat real quick from Austin Bell. Says, what's more likely in this upcoming season? UF beats FSU. What a question, Austin. UF beats FSU, Georgia wins another natty, or FSU makes a natty appearance. There's 2 FSU questions in here. I'm going to pass it to Steve first, and then we'll go Dave, and then I'll go. Great question, Austin. I love this show.
Georgia's quarterback situation does not give me a lot of confidence that they're going to win another natty. I mean, do you mean ever, or do you mean like consistently? I'll assume that means consistently. I don't think FSU can make the natty.
Oh, that's a good.
Also,
Okay,
look
let's say wins another. It's his upcoming season, so I'd imagine three-peat.
Right. So I think Georgia three-peat would probably be 3 out of probability. Florida State making a natty. I mean, the most probable is UF beating Florida State. It's easier to win a football game than it is to win a football season. So I would say that there's just less room for error in that. Not that I want it to happen, just that I think laws of probability.
I think UF beating Georgia might have made this question a little less lopsided. Because that kind of impacts a few things. But yeah, honestly, I mean,
it's still a good question. I like it.
It's a good question, but it's a little weak with you're right with the football game being. Look, I mean, I would love to say UF beats FSU, but to make it fun, I'm gonna say FSU making a playoff appearance, in my opinion, has a higher chance. And I'm going to leave the UF beat FSU out because like it's just kind of it's too much. The odds are too easy there. I think FSU making a playoff appearance is more likely to happen.
I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, with Florida State's schedule, I mean, they do have to play LSU. They play us. They play Clemson too. So it is a little bit harder, I guess, for Florida State. But Florida State's proven that they can beat LSU and Florida with Jordan Travis at quarterback. You factor in the transfers. I mean, maybe they can make it to that playoff.
You can kind of simmer down like, hey, Georgia wins a natty or FSU makes a playoff appearance. What's more likely to happen? That's a good question. I mean,
that's still a tough one. Yeah.
Between those two, I mean, because Georgia's schedule isn't really the hardest either. But
FSU's schedule, I think, is harder than Georgia's this year. To be completely honest, I'll throw that out there.
We all know what happens when Georgia actually plays a healthy Alabama and doesn't have to avoid them. So that may not happen there, but I had to make that joke. But I would go with that's Florida beats Florida State.
That's off the board. That's off the board. That one's too easy. It's not too easy, but it's not heavy enough. It's not in the same weight class. It's not. You can't put up against each other.
I could see Florida State making it to the playoff if they get past LSU. I mean, because if you get past LSU, you beat Clemson.
They lose the LSU game. Honestly, in my opinion, is irrelevant. They win or lose that game, they could still make the playoffs because they win out. They win the ACC. Nobody's gonna remember that game. That game's irrelevant. That game is more for shit talking.
They could really actually afford one loss with the way that the playoffs set up right now. And if they win the ACC, they could make it in. So, yeah.
All right. Next thing we got a couple of things here. We got still 200 in the chat, which is incredible. Almost an hour and a half in. So love you guys for hanging out. And Austin Bell, great question, man. Really appreciate that. Next thing is Jake Paul. You guys love to hate Jake Paul is now fighting Nate Diaz. And it got brought up. Steve, this is a Steve topic. Steve, why did we bring this up?
Because you are a huge Jake Paul fan. I see you drinking his delicious beverages.
That's his brother Logan. Don't disrespect Logan.
It doesn't matter. They're all Pauls. But I also know that you're a Diaz fan as well. You're a UFC guy. You've talked about how much you like Nate Diaz as a UFC fighter. So you're a fan of both. You watch the sport and follow the sport, I think, more than Soder and I. What are your thoughts on this? This just got announced today, as a matter of fact, that they're going to have a fight, Paul and Nate Diaz, on August 5th. What are your takeaways? Now, this is a boxing match. I just want to point that out for everybody. It's a boxing match, so Nate Diaz won't have some of his tools available to him.
Great question. I'm pretty sure Nate was supposed to fight Logan, so this is kind of an interesting development, but that's besides the point. For the brand, I want Jake Paul. Nate Diaz does not carry a weight, and nor is exciting he's done in the UFC. This fight doesn't do anything for Nate, nor does it carry the brand of what Jake Paul is trying to do. What I think will happen is Nate Diaz is going to win. Nate Diaz has taken punches from some got that dog. That guy will bleed out of every possible tissue in his face and will not go down. The guy can take punches from anybody. When I saw him fight Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor laid his absolute juice into his forehead, and Nate just looked back at him, Conor goes, oh, shit. And so with that, I just don't see him beating Diaz. He obviously was fighting Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury was able to take a punch, and it shook Paul. Nate Diaz is going to be much better at taking punches. Now, the one thing I will say Jake Paul will have an edge on, and I think also helped him with the Tyron Woodley fight, even though he knocked Woodley out the second time, the first time he didn't, was technicality, not understanding boxing. Nate Diaz is dumber than a box of rocks. The guy is an idiot. If you listen to him talk, he can barely formulate a sentence from all the punches he's taking to his forehead. So that is the one advantage I will say Paul has. Paul will be able to go in there and almost Floyd Mayweather it and just win the fight simply by getting up points. Because if you're Jake, you cannot go in there knowing that you're going to knock him out. You got to go in there and just beat him. And so for that, I think he can beat him. But Nate Diaz is a dog, and that's going to be a huge advantage. So I think it's a great fight. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think it's going to go the distance. So if you're a betting man, I would bet the over on whatever it is.
Yeah.
The current odds right now are Jake Paul -300, Nate Diaz +240.
And I think that goes to technicality.
All the non-bettors. Yeah. So that's interesting. Doesn't Jake Paul weigh a significant more amount than Nate Diaz? Nate Diaz just looks like a scrawny guy, and
Nate
Paul
Diaz is
looks
big,
thick,
though.
right?
Nate Diaz is taller.
Yeah,
I think. Good question.
I actually I think Mr. Paul, Logan Paul, had learned a lesson from his last fight, not to actually fight a real boxer and lose. So he's going back to retired UFC fighters.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I do think that Diaz will have an advantage in this. The one advantage he will have is probably cardio, and as you said, you're not knocking him out. So if I was Diaz, I would take the approach like Floyd Mayweather. I know Floyd Mayweather has speed. Diaz doesn't have the speed that Floyd Mayweather has, obviously, but tire him out, man. Make Logan Paul just beat you to death, and then
Jake.
when he's tired, my bad, Jake. I don't keep up with that stuff. So anyway, it's Jake Paul. Make him beat you to death, and then just tee off on him when he's tired. That would be my strategy. I guess.
Yeah, I don't see Nate Diaz letting him off the ropes like Mayweather did. Mayweather had him had Paul against the ropes a couple times, and it almost seemed like he kind of let up and let him get some space back underneath him. If Nate Diaz sees a crease that he can knock out Paul, he's going for it. He's not going to play.
Diaz is horrible with stamina. Jake's not horrible. Jake is more conditioned than Nate Diaz. If you ever see Nate Diaz, he looks like a wet paper bag. He's like 100. He's like a skinny fat. Like the guy doesn't work out. He's just scrappy. So this matchup doesn't benefit him. Could he get ripped? Sure. But real quick, let's shout out to our sponsors. Breaking news: Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right. They are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with brand new Beard Hedger. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code HIGHTOP for 20% off and free shipping. So from your guys' support and using that code, signing up and buying whatever you guys are buying, we'll be able to extend our promotion. So appreciate you guys for showing love and allowing us to be able to keep us afloat here and Steve getting haircuts. Super chat from Ben Smith says $2 says, what do y'all think about McGregor return in 2023? McGregor's my guy.
That's up your alley. That's your boy, man.
Love my man Conor McGregor. I'm excited for it. I'm a little nervous for it though. He's old. He's going up. He looks thick, so I know he's fighting a heavy weight class. And him and Chandler, in my opinion, are the same style of fighting where they just beat the living shit out of each other and hope to basically knock the other guy off his footing. Chandler and Poirier just fought. Same thing. He couldn't take Poirier down, and Poirier beat him. I believe they fought. I'm pretty sure they fought. So it's going to be kind of a matchup with the same style. So I think it'll be a fair, fun matchup, and it's going to be who has the heavier hammer. Gregor obviously is juicing to some sort because the guy is absolutely yoked, but I'm excited for it. I love Conor McGregor. I think he sells better than anybody else. So we'll see. Great question, though, Ben. Thank you for the support. And last but not least, NFL talk. We're hustling in here, boys and girls. Over 100 likes, almost 200 people in the chat. Incredible. Love the energy. We're over 10 o'clock, Dave. Sorry, I know you got your bedtime.
It's all good.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead, Steve.
I was like, oh, look, Dave, you can't quit us. You're already in for the long haul at this point. So we'll wrap this thing up with a little NFL talk. let you get your good night's sleep and get ready for a 4-hour drive down to Florida. Let's talk a little bit about NFL. Look, the Packers and Jets still do not have an agreement for Aaron Rodgers. And if everything that I'm reading is correct, there hasn't been any communication in regard to the Aaron Rodgers trade since the owners' meeting just a few weeks ago. This could be on the verge of the highest level NFL trade to ever fall through. And I've been watching NFL since I knew what football was, man. Like, to have both of these teams go into this, making, like, the Jets have gone out and sought free agents that Rodgers had on a list that he wanted to play with at that team. Not to mention the fact that the draft is right around the corner. These teams haven't made any moves, thinking that there's this imminent move with Rodgers going to New York. That's going to affect their draft strategies. We are right here on the precipice of watching the Jets just do what the Jets are going to do, and it could all simply fall apart. It certainly has no guarantees on this thing. There are other teams out there right now that Aaron Rodgers looks attractive to. And not just because of his sweet dance skills, because he can actually play the football position. But look, I mean, this could be the only the Jets could out-jet themselves with this whole shenanigan. But my gosh, it's getting closer and closer to the draft. They're going to have to. Both teams are going to have to figure something out because this could just go off the rails real damn quick.
So, there's two parts to this that I find very interesting. The first being, it kind of like it being drug out, and it could be an absolute collapse. But it always feels like there's a lot of drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers. And this was all per Adam Schefter, which Rodgers kind of took a jab at Schefter, saying he doesn't know anything. He texted him and said, hey, lose my number, because Schefter was trying to probe a little bit. And Aaron goes on McAfee's show all the time saying, yeah, it's all a bunch of hoopla, right? Drama comes out surrounding Aaron Rodgers, noise from everybody else. Then Aaron comes on Pat McAfee shows and settles the heat, right? Coming from the horse's mouth. But there always, again, seems to be drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers. Now, with the Packers holding out what it feels like with the Jets, could it always just been a Packer situation, and they're throwing it and they're using Rodgers to hide the drama that the front office, the Packers are stimulating up? We won't ever get to know until obviously Rodgers moves on, but it's interesting because there always seems to be some kind of unwarranted drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers. And again, it's happening again, and it's not even that big of a deal. For me, you're just going to go to the Jets. I feel like Aaron's towards the end of his career, kind of like Tom was with the Buccaneers. Could you have him go to the Jets like Tom went to the Tampa and get it done? The Jets are in a similar position, a phenomenal defense. That offense is not as great as what Tom skidded into in Tampa, but obviously they're trying to get that done. But like you said, with the draft coming up, if we know we've got Aaron, okay, well, now we go draft some pieces, wide receivers, running backs, etc. I know the running backs are okay, but it's just very interesting. Breaking news. Sorry, Steve. Jordan Pride just decommitted. Is that a fact?
That is a fact.
Line him up! Line him up, baby! I know we were in the Aaron Rodgers Hummer, but golly, boys. Woo!
I feel like that was like, it's been like a known thing for what 6
Steve,
weeks you guys have been talking about?
Stop it. Hey, before we go into that, the show goes on, but let's finish the Aaron Rodgers thing because I got off a little bit of tangent. I'm going to pass it to Dave. Did you have a thought? It's NFL football. This is what they go to after college.
Hand egg, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I agree with you, Shelton.
There it is. Steve, did you want to say anything else to that?
You too.
No,
Steve.
just thank you. It's the same sport, Soder, but it's a different sport. We'll talk about it later.
Wow, look at this. Okay, all right, yeah. Sorry, I mean breaking news on the show. You can't make this stuff up. Good thing we were still on. Good thing we kept the show rolling, boys. Hey, okay. So here's why I'm excited, Steve. And like you said, like this is more than likely we saw this happening, right? But what's exciting about this is it's happening right before the spring game, which we've been talking. Get the shades out. What the hell, Dave? My God.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
With there being a ton of noise. With there being a ton of noise of Jordan Pride committing to Florida, him going to be at the Swamp tomorrow, him being to Gainesville a couple, and like you said, it's been in the making. to decommit the night before the orange and blue game feels really, really good. Can we break out the calculator for everybody at home, Steve? And Dave, anybody, somebody break out the Dave, you want to break out the calculator? Add the names that we talked about earlier, and Xavier Filsame, the other name he did not mention, which was not Jordan Pride, by the way. Look, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is what we do. It's Wednesday night. We're humming. It's April, okay? Let's go, boys. Can you pulling it up, Dave? I can't tell what you're doing with your shades on. I don't know if you're crying, you're laughing. I don't know what's going on. He doesn't even want to talk to me anymore. He's pissed. He's locked in. I will say that's a mean graphic. Like he's in his FSU gear, but he's decommitting. Like I would have put. I mean, Hayes Fawcett knows what he's doing.
Or is that from somebody else?
This is from Hayes. This is from Hayes Fawcett.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so he just made the thumbnail. He just uses his FSU picture. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would probably put oh, we lost Dave.
Dave.
What was the matter, Dave? Dave, really? We're gonna do this in the middle of breaking news? This is what?
Hey, I'm back.
There it is.
Hey, did you hear what I said?
I did not. You have to repeat yourself, sir.
Okay, I was asking if you could do the calculator, add the two names that we spoke about before, which
and then add Jordan Pride.
And now add Jordan Pride, and just see. Look, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
The chat's back to 200. Let's get some likes while we rocking and rolling. We are humming, boys and girls. I mean, there's no way this is just a coincidence, a quinkadink, right? There's got to be some energy here that's following along with this. He's been committed since 2021. Now, with him decommitting, is there even a chance that he commits back? No, right?
I would imagine.
Seen it happen,
why even bother to go through the decommit process if you're just going to go back? I mean, that's like people who get married twice. Like you got married, you divorced. We're going to get remarried.
Sure.
Date.
Is this him right here?
If that were to happen, that would put us at 4, which would be like a minute point behind Michigan at 3.
And Michigan has been on with how many commits would that put us at total? 9, right? Because I think we were at 6. So we've had 9 commits with the 3 that we're talking about. And what does Michigan have, like 12? 11?
I can look real quick.
Which puts the again, I'm going speaking to the quality of players.
They have 11.
Yeah, okay. So we'd be a smidgen behind Michigan, who have 2 more commits than we do. Again, speaking to the quality of players that are committed thus far, and we're just getting warmed up. So this is what he posted, Holly. So look, he does have the FSU behind him there. He has that photo there behind. That to me, honestly, is more how I envisioned the picture would be. Is like he's pulling himself out of it.
Even his armband has the FSU logo on it. Like,
oh, that's clean, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, maybe they do get remarried. Who the hell knows? It's April.
Maybe they do get remarried.
Yeah, and I hate to burst the bubble there, Holly, but most of the time when somebody decommits, they don't go back.
Yeah.
There's a percentage there. There's a percentage chance of them coming back because Jacob Copeland did that to us earlier in the year when Jim McElwain got fired. But then when Dan Mullen came in, Jacob Copeland came back. But that was a coaching change. So I do not know. But look at Shelton trolling. Look at you, dude. I'm
just out here working, boys. Okay, just out here doing my job. All right, that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. He's committed. So James says he thinks he's committing tomorrow at the spring game. I mean, it makes sense, right? I'm sure my Twitter is exploding. Look at this. Look, Clifford's back home. Post that. Dave, why haven't you tweeted?
I've got so many DMs right now. Why have I tweeted?
Okay, just making sure. Sorry, Steve. I feel like this is kind of like. This is like a weird.
Everybody tuned back in now.
I feel like we're cheating on you. Like typically, like we're always talking shit, but when it happens in person, it's like you walked in on us. You know what I mean? Like
we went back over 200 guys now.
Yeah, everyone's fired up. The energy's back. They're like, oh, I gotta get back on.
Sure.
I love it.
Get back on. This breaking
I love
news.
it. I
What
mean,
happened?
Way to end the show. That's how you get it done. This is the stuff that excites me. Like I think
it was the glasses. It was the glasses.
I mean, what else would it be?
Oh, you might be onto something.
That's the only thing that changed. So, I mean, what else would it be? Phenomenal show, boys. I mean, I know we went over your bedtime, Dave, but look, I think it was worth it. All right.
I think, yeah. I mean, like maybe I should stay up.
Show goes on, baby.
Maybe there will be another decommitment or something.
There you go.
I love
Florida
it.
State. Miami can't really have a decommit because they only got like 2 commits.
Yeah, there's
can't go
nobody
backwards.
there's nobody to decommit. So I guess
What-
that's a
what-
good
what
problem.
did Deion say? You think you had what I already got? Well, how do you
You
how do
think you
apply
gonna
that to
get
Miami?
what I got?
Yeah. How are we going to lose what we don't even have?
I was
There
about
it
to
is.
say, man, if you don't have anybody, you can't lose anybody. So
There it
I mean,
is.
there you go. It's a
Tim
positive way of looking
Lombardi,
at it.
what's up, man? Welcome to the stream, bud. Good to see you. Nick Myers, what's up, baby? Boys and girls, Florida football is back, everybody. I love the energy. Well, hey, we're just getting started. We will be live tomorrow unless something happens, but either way, we're going to be at the Swamp tomorrow on Gator Walk. Come say hi. Come dab it up. Come take a picture if you want. Whatever it is, come say, what's up? Come hang out with us. Again, phenomenal show. Appreciate all the love, the donations this afternoon. Incredible as always. Love you guys as always. Excited for tomorrow. Cannot wait. Cannot wait for tomorrow and see what's going on. Hopefully it's a nice, healthy day. Weather looks to be good, to be ready to rock and roll. And boys and girls, until next time, my name's Shelton.
Holly.
And the Dave Meister.
Oh, buggity, boys. Let's go racing. Have a good night. Sleep tight. Don't let bed bugs bite, boys.
Cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest.